All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into something pretty incredible, 3D printed homes. Specifically, we're looking at this really fascinating project at the University of Maine.
Okay.
And they're actually working towards this goal of printing a whole house every 48 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're basing this deep dive on an NBC News YouTube video we found, and it's really interesting stuff. I mean, this isn't like some sci-fi fantasy.
Right.
This is like real tangible stuff happening right now. So,
Yeah.
you know, we talk about the housing crisis in the U.S. all the time.
Right.
But I think it's sometimes good to look at the numbers to really grasp like how big of a problem it is.
Yeah.
So we're talking like a shortage of something like 7 million homes just for low-income families.
Yeah. And I think, what happens then is that it pushes the prices up across the board,
Yeah.
for everyone else.
Right.
It just makes homeownership a really distant dream for so many.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this project at the University of Maine is really kind of tackling this head on. And they've actually gone and built this massive 3D printer. Like it literally spans this entire warehouse.
Wow.
And it's printing these 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom homes that are 500 square feet.
That's a pretty good size.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's not
Yeah.
insignificant, right, for a 3D printed house.
No, that's amazing. Yeah. That really shows you the scale that they're working with,
Yeah.
It's not just like little models anymore,
Yeah.
It's like full-fledged construction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I found really interesting was the look of these homes.
Okay.
The walls have this really kind of unique texture. It almost looks like a cabin.
Oh, interesting.
And it turns out they're using this wood-filled bioplastic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So is that where they're getting that like wood grain look from?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
And what's really cool about it is that this bioplastic is actually made from sawmill residue. So,
Oh, wow.
all that stuff that's usually just considered waste.
Right.
They're taking it and turning it into this valuable building material.
So not only are they creating these homes,
Right.
they're also being very environmentally conscious.
Exactly. Like it's kind of a win-win in that sense.
Yeah.
And it's not just the walls.
Okay.
They're using this bioplastic for pretty much the entire structure.
Wow.
So we're talking like the foundation, mounting the cabinets and shelves. I mean, pretty much everything.
Wow. And so does it have that like strength and durability that you would need?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
The wood filler actually gives it the structural integrity.
Interesting.
And there's even a point in the video where they show them creating this curved wall
Okay.
that like seamlessly blends into the roof.
Wow.
So like the design flexibility is
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So they use this term volumetric modular printing.
Okay.
And I was a little confused by that, so I had to look it up.
Yeah. What does that mean?
So essentially it means they're printing in these like 3D modules. You can almost think of it like building with giant Legos.
Okay.
And that's what allows them to create those complex shapes. Like, I mentioned the double curves,
Right.
which would be really difficult and time consuming with traditional wood framing.
So that really speeds things up.
Yeah. So they say they can print a house every 48 hours with just a small team.
That's incredible.
And it really makes you think about like
Yeah.
how this could really impact the housing shortage.
Right. Because traditional construction just can't keep up with demand.
Exactly.
But if you can 3D print a house in 2 days,
Yeah,
that's a game changer.
it really is.
Yeah.
And of course, whenever we talk about, automation and things like that,
Right.
the question of jobs always comes up.
Of course. Yeah.
But the university really emphasizes that, they're still going to need skilled labor for things like the electrical work, the plumbing, the roofing, installing all the fixtures.
And, we actually have a shortage of construction workers right now. So, this isn't necessarily replacing jobs. This could actually help fill that gap.
Yeah.
And, maybe even create new types of jobs in this field.
Yeah, specialized roles.
Exactly.
And, I thought it was really interesting, the researcher who's leading this whole project, he actually had a really personal motivation for this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wants to be able to create these affordable and sustainable homes that his own kids could one day live in.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think that really speaks to the heart of this whole project. It's like using technology to try and solve these real-world problems.
Right.
And make a tangible difference in people's lives.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it also kind of brings up some questions, too. Like,
right.
well, like, how would these homes actually be priced?
Yeah.
Compared to a traditionally built home?
Right.
And what about building codes and regulations? Like, how does that all play into this?
Exactly.
Those
are very practical things.
Yeah, there's all these practical considerations alongside the excitement of this new innovation.
Absolutely. But before we get into all of that, I'm curious, what stood out to you the most about this project?
Honestly, I think for me it was the speed and the efficiency. Like,
Yeah.
to think that they can print a house in just 48 hours.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
It's pretty amazing, and it really makes you think, like, if this technology really takes off,
Yeah.
like, how big of a dent could this make in
Yeah.
this housing shortage?
And it's not just about the number of houses. It's also the affordability, making sure that they're quick to build and affordable.
Right.
That's what makes it so compelling.
Yeah, and it makes you think, like, could this technology be applied to other areas where housing is desperately needed?
Like, what do you mean?
Well, like, I don't know, like after a natural disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to send these printers to a disaster zone.
Yeah.
And just very quickly create shelters
Right.
for families that have been displaced.
Exactly.
That would be incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, like the impact on disaster relief could
Yeah.
be huge.
Absolutely.
Now, what about like remote areas or developing countries, where access to building materials or even like skilled labor might be limited?
Right. It really democratizes access to housing.
Yeah.
It makes it possible to build in places where it was previously just unthinkable.
Right.
So it's really global in scale.
Yeah. And the fact that they're using these recycled materials, I mean,
Yeah.
talk about a win-win for housing and the environment.
Absolutely. And, it speaks to a larger shift towards sustainability and construction.
Right.
Using renewable resources, minimizing waste.
Right.
We can create homes that are affordable and environmentally responsible,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
I think we got to talk about the elephant in the room.
What's that?
Cost.
Okay.
Like, how much cheaper are these 3D printed homes
Right.
compared to a traditionally built one?
Yeah. That's a great question. And that's something that researchers are still working to figure out.
Okay.
It depends on a lot of factors.
Right.
The price of materials, labor, costs, how efficient the printing process is.
Okay.
So it's something that they're still evaluating.
Okay. And I imagine there are also some regulatory hurdles
Of course.
to overcome as well. Like, do building codes need to be updated to accommodate 3D printed homes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, building codes and regulations have to adapt to
Right.
this new technology to make sure that everything is safe
Right.
and meets the quality standards.
Right.
So it's an ongoing process.
Okay.
But as this technology matures and it becomes more widely adopted,
Yeah.
we'll see a lot more clarity in this area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of design, I'm curious about the long-term potential here. Like,
Yeah.
could this technology lead to more unique and personalized homes?
I think it definitely could.
Yeah.
I mean, 3D printing opens up so many possibilities. When it comes to architectural creativity, curved walls, complex shapes,
Right.
customized designs, all of that stuff, that's either really difficult or impossible with traditional construction.
It's like we're on the verge of this whole new
Yeah.
era of home design.
It's exciting.
It is, but are there any drawbacks to this technology that we should be aware of?
Of course, with any new technology, there are challenges.
Right.
Making sure that these homes are structurally sound, refining the materials, figuring out how to scale up production. Those are all things that need more research and development.
So it's not like a perfect solution,
Right.
but it definitely has the potential to be
Yeah.
a major player in the future of housing.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
a really exciting development, and I think it deserves careful consideration and continued innovation.
Yeah, this has been a fascinating discussion.
It really has.
So before we wrap up this deep dive into 3D printed homes, let's leave our listeners with something to ponder.
Okay, I like it.
If we can 3D print like individual homes,
Right.
could we scale this up?
Yeah.
Could
Yeah.
we use this technology to create like entire communities
Oh, wow.
that are designed for, sustainability and resilience?
That's a really interesting thought.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine neighborhoods with 3D printed homes, community centers, even infrastructure.
Yeah.
And it's all optimized for energy efficiency, minimal waste, adaptable to climate change.
It's like taking that idea of a smart city
Right.
and weaving sustainability into like the very fabric of the buildings themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. And you could integrate renewable energy sources right into the designs.
Yeah.
Solar panels, water harvesting systems. You could have vertical gardens built into the structures.
It's like technology and nature working together
Yeah.
to create these like self-sufficient, thriving communities.
Absolutely. And it also has social implications too.
How so?
Well, this technology could empower local communities
Okay.
to actually participate in the design and construction of their own neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Which, fosters a deeper sense of ownership and belonging.
It's like technology being used not just for individual gain,
Right.
but to build a more equitable and sustainable world.
Exactly. A vision worth striving for.
It is. Well, listeners, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the urgency of this housing crisis to the potential of these 3D printed homes. This technology has the power to really reshape not just the construction industry, but how we live and interact with our built environment.
Yeah.
We've seen how it can be environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
We talked about all the design possibilities.
The possibilities are endless.
They really are. And we even imagined these entire sustainable communities built with this technology.
It's pretty remarkable.
It is. But like with any groundbreaking innovation,
Of course.
there are challenges that we need to think about.
Right.
And ethical considerations. We need to make sure that this technology is being used responsibly and equitably, with a focus on creating affordable and sustainable housing.
For everyone.
For everyone, exactly. So this is the conversation that we all need to be a part of.
Absolutely.
So the next time you see a construction site,
Yeah.
Try to envision what the future could look like with 3D printing.
Yeah, maybe one day your home will be printed.
Yeah.
Layer by layer.
It's pretty wild to think about.
It's a testament to human ingenuity.
Yeah.
And our desire to make a better world.
Well, that's it for our deep dive into the world of 3D printed homes.
That was great.
Thanks for joining us. So if we can 3D print individual homes like we've been talking about,
Right.
could we scale this technology up to create entire communities that are sustainable and resilient?
Wow. It's a fascinating thought. Imagine entire neighborhoods
Yeah.
with 3D printed homes, community centers, infrastructure, all designed
Yeah.
to be energy efficient, to minimize waste,
Right.
to adapt to our changing climate.
It's like we're talking about smart cities.
Right.
But where the sustainability is built into the buildings themselves.
Exactly. And you could even integrate things like renewable energy sources
Yeah.
right into the designs, solar panels, water harvesting systems.
Wow.
You could have vertical gardens built into the structures.
So it's really like technology and nature coming together
Living in harmony.
to create these self-sufficient, thriving communities.
And, it's not just about the environmental impact.
Right.
There are social implications as well.
Oh, how so?
Well, this technology could empower local communities
Okay.
to participate in the design and construction of their own neighborhoods,
Yeah.
which, gives them a sense of ownership and belonging.
It's really amazing to think about technology being used not just for, individual gain,
Right.
but for creating a more equitable and sustainable world for everyone.
A vision worth striving for.
Absolutely. Well, listeners, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We talked about the urgency of the housing crisis, and we explored the incredible potential of these 3D printed homes.
A really fascinating technology.
It is. It really has the power to change not just the construction industry,
Right.
but how we live and interact with our built environment.
Absolutely.
We've seen how it can be environmentally friendly. We've talked about the design possibilities.
Endless possibilities.
And we even imagine entire sustainable communities
Yeah. It's really remarkable.
built with this technology.
It is.
But of course, with any new innovation, there are challenges we need to address.
Of course.
And ethical considerations to keep in mind.
Right. We need to make sure that it's used responsibly.
Exactly.
Equitably.
Yeah, and that the focus is on creating affordable and sustainable housing for everyone.
For everyone. That's the key.
So this is a conversation that we all need to be a part of.
Absolutely.
So next time you see a construction site, just take a moment to envision what the future could look like with 3D printing.
Maybe one day your own home will be printed.
It's incredible to think about.
Layer by layer.
It really is. Well, that's it for our deep dive into the world of 3D printed homes.
That was great.
Thanks for joining us.